Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop. Today we are making a grooving plane. So let's get groovy. So the kit comes with a block of hard maple for the body, a block of hard maple for the wedge, and enough you can make a couple of them in case you mess up, and then an iron. So let's dive in. First thing we need to do is cut a rabbet in the bottom corner of this. This will be a 1/2 inch deep by 3/4 inch. We could actually saw this out, and I'll be showing how to do that a little bit later with the groove, but it's really easy if you have a rabbeting plane to do it, or moving Philister plane. It just goes much faster. But we need to actually take this all the way down to a 1/2 inch, and so I'm using my depth setter to make sure I'm where I'm at, because every now and then I don't quite trust my depth stop on these because they tend to get bumped or moved. But yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm at the appropriate depth. Next thing we need to do is cut the groove, and that groove needs to be a 1/4 inch deep. To visualize that in the saw, it's nice to put on a piece of tape so that you can actually see when you get down to depth. We're going to push the saw right up against that fence that we just created and run a line perfectly in line with that fence down another 1/4 inch. And then we need to move the saw over and cut another cut a 1/4 inch away. And this is actually going to create a groove in the bottom of the grooving plane. Now, if you already had a grooving plane, you could just run it on here because you need to cut a 1/4 by 1/4 by 1/4 groove to make the 1/4 by 1/4 by 1/4 grooving plane. But in this case we don't have that already, so we're going to grab the saw. And I actually like to just freehand this. Some people will put in a small knife wall, though it's very hard to get in at this odd angle. I find to just let the corner of the teeth start it, and once I get down a little ways, you can go into it. Now with those two lines, we need to remove the waste in between them and create a groove. So I'm going to come in with the chisel, bevel down, and I'm going to go about halfway down to that line and cut back as far as I can. Now in this case I'm saying, oh no, the grain is diving in, so I need to be very careful. And so I'm going to be switching directions on this one because this one actually has the grain going in one direction, one space, and going the other direction, the other space. This bevel down stabbing motion is a great one to learn. It allows you to plane off the surface without having the sole of a plane. You can actually take a very measured amount all the way down, and it's a very accurate way of cutting out the bottom of a groove. I can come in with a file, a rasp, or a float and detail it down and make sure that the bottom is close to what I want. The nice thing about this is the bottom of the groove doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It just has to be very close at the mouth, heel, and toe. If you take out a little bit more in between, not a problem at all. And even there, you don't have to be perfect. The irons that I sell in the kit do not come sharpened. They are hardened and they are ground to a point, but they need a little bit of work. So I'm going to hit them with a core stone and then go through the normal sharpening process. They're really quick because they are a small piece of steel, so they change shape very easily. And I want to make sure that the groove is ever so slightly wider than my iron, just a little bit. And then of course make sure you drop your iron on the floor after sharpening it. Now let's get to making the spot where the iron and wedge will sit. And this will be an open face rather than drilling the hole through it. It just makes it a lot easier, and it makes it so you can see, oh yeah, that's how it works. And that's one of the reasons why the block is 1.5 inches thick. It gives it a little bit more mass. So I'm going to set off where the bed is, place a line off where the iron goes, and then I'm going to set another angle at about that to create the wedge. When you buy the kit, I have a whole design of exactly what I do, but honestly for this I'm just eyeballing what looks right. For these two cuts, one of them will be the bed that the iron sits on, and the other one will be the front edge for the wedge. And you can see I'm leaning the saw just a little bit. I want to create a little bit of an undercut there that pulls the wedge into the body, especially since this is an open face. I don't want that falling out. I'm going to take out most of the material with a chisel, and then we can come in with the router plane and slowly take it down. We're going to take it step by step until we get down to a 1/4 inch deep. This will be what houses the iron and the wedge, and it's a really simple, easy design. If you have plane floats, they make this step really easily of getting that last final detail, but if not, a simple rasp or file will work well, or just coming into the chisel and scratching it out. Now we need to create a wedge, and so I have that bevel gauge that I set up earlier with the right angle, and we need to know what the difference is between the bevel angle and the bed angle of 45, and we can just draw that out on the board, or you can even set the block of wood on top of the plane body and mark it out on that. then we can cut the wedge. And the wedge doesn't have to be anything specific, it just has to be relatively close to that angle. And you can see on this first one, I'm going to get it somewhat close, but it's a little bit wiggly. We need to refine that. I need to take a little bit off the tip. So I'm going to set it into the vise, and I'm just going to plane the tip a little ways and change the angle by a hair. Put it down in there, and yeah, this is nice and tight. But the problem is it isn't beveled to match that angle that I cut into the front of the wedge housing. And so we're going to take the plane and bevel that a little bit, and you can see how that then fits at an angle, and it sucks it back down into that body. We're going to go back and forth a couple times until we get it close, until, yeah, it's a right nice fit. It's good and tight, and it's holding the iron in place all the way along it. I'm going to make a couple marks here because I want to create an angle on the end of the wedge. We're going to actually wedge our wedge, and this will create the escapement that the chips come out of, because we want them to curl out the side rather than to bunch up and crush into the wedge. And so I'm going to take an angle off of here, and we're going to adjust this later. We want to make sure that the very tip of this still is inside of the body, but it ended up being a little bit longer. So you'll see me adjusting that here in a moment. So we're going to set up the plane, and now it is a functioning plane, except for I was finding that the chips were jamming because the wedge was sticking out a little bit more. So we're going to take a hair more off that tip, put it back in, try it again, and go back and forth. I think I had to do it 2 or 3 times just to make sure everything was set in there well. And then, hey, look at that, we're getting some curls. And I'm loving these curls once they get going, and you get these really happy big honking things. I was taking a little heavier cut than normal, but yeah, I enjoy this. This is a lot of fun, but unfortunately it's very, very painful. So we need to do a lot more details onto it. And the wedge, you want to put a little hook on the end so that you can extract it out a little bit easier if it gets jammed in over the years. So just cutting out a shape in this. If you have other wedges, just lay them down there and trace them out. This is an odd shape. It's not very traditional, but it's one that I kind of like, rounding off the end and then just cutting in a simple hook in here. It doesn't have to be anything terribly special, just have a little bit of fun with it and create something that makes you happy. For rounding off the ends, you can do it with a chisel, you can do it with a rasp, you can do it with files, you can do it with a combination of them. One of these I'm going to do with the chisel and then come into the file and rasp and smooth it down. And the other one, it's just small enough, I'm going to hit it with a rasp and run it over really quickly. And I'm going to round over the faces on it. This is purely for aesthetics and making me feel good. I have a bunch of these orbital sanding discs that a company sent me a while ago, only to find out, wait, he doesn't own an orbital sander. So I've been using them from time to time. They make really good ways of breaking edges and sanding things down. I want to plane off the wedge to make it flush to the side of the body, because I do ship them ever so slightly fatter than the body, so you have a little bit of material to work with. And then we're just going to be going at this for looks, appearance, feeling, and I'm going to be chamfering the top edge. The front and back, I just round those over with a file and rasp until they feel good. On the front edge, I actually have this saddle shape where the thumb wraps over and the index finger wraps around the front. It's just something I like. It's not traditional. It's not anything special. It feels good in my hand, and this is where you can have a little bit of fun and put in your own style. If you want to do something very traditional, great, go for it. This is a great chance to experiment, to try something, see what you like. So we're going to hit it with rasps and then slightly finer files and then slightly finer files until we get it right down close to it. I can hit it with some sandpaper, and this allows me to see where I need to come back in and clean up a little bit more with my finest files. All of the entrance and exit points on the plane, I want to round those over a little bit so that they're not going to be jamming or catching up on anything. So I'm just going to hit those with a fine file and break the edges. The one important point is the sole of this is just that small 1/4 inch bit. And so to flatten it, it's actually really easy just to take a plane in here and flatten it and check that it's the way it is. And so from time to time you need to do that and then move the groove a little bit deeper. That's just a natural expectation with the plane over the years, though that could be many, many years until you need to do it again. I'm going to hit it with some boiled linseed oil, and unfortunately this is maple and boiled linseed oil, it just doesn't bring out quite as much. That's why a lot of people like to use a water-based polyurethane, because you can see that natural. But man, this is soaking it up. You put the oil on there and you see it disappears as soon as the rag is gone. It took quite a few coats of soaking it in to get this to fill in all the way. But I'm going to let it fill up as much as it wants, wipe off the excess, and then I'm going to hit it with paste wax and call it good. So let's put this all together and take it for a drive. Ooh, that's kind of heavy. Let's take it apart, put it back together, set the wedge again, and let's try it again. And you can
play with this. Sometimes when the grain is going really, really well, I'll take a very heavy shaving and just get through it quicker. Sometimes when it's a little more tricky, I'll take a lighter shaving. Sometimes I just feel like I want to do something a little more artistic and fun, and I'm going for those perfect curls. And I love the feeling of when it actually bottoms out and you have that exact groove that's a quarter by a quarter by a quarter. A relatively simple project and a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. I've made a whole bunch over the years, and every time I do have a lot of fun.
So you have it, a grooving plane. This may look difficult, but this is honestly a really, really simple beginner's project. This is one of the first things that I ever made as a tool for the shop. And as a matter of fact, it's actually the grooving plane that I still grab when I need to make a quarter by quarter by quarter groove. This is the one that I made out of a piece of firewood after I'd been working with hand tools for only a couple weeks. So most people can build one of these pretty easily. And I do actually have a whole kit available. So if you want to see that, I'll have a link to it down below. You get the block, the wedge wood, and the iron, and you can have a lot of fun making one yourself. And as well as we have a class coming up here soon where we are going to be offering a whole build along with us where you can do it live online, or we have a couple positions actually in the shop if you want to come join us. So that will be released here very soon. So links to all that down below. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, snide remarks, throw those down there below as well. That really helps out the channel. Even the snide remarks, really, thank you. It helps us get in front of more people and means a lot. Without you guys, no one would ever find our channel. But on top of that, there are all these names over here. Those are some of the fantastic, wonderful, benevolent, gorgeous, amazing people over on Patreon. Because with patrons and members, people like you sponsor this channel. Thank you for that. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So if you want to find out more about that, you know what to do. Links down below. I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Traditionally speaking, a lot of grooving planes actually flared out and got wider at the bottom. They would call those bell bottoms. They were very groovy.